Hello, and welcome to the Sonic Squeeze. Today we're going to be talking about Julia Holter's new album. Julia Holter is a Californian singer, songwriter, and composer who makes kind of experimental pop. She is super beautiful and talented, and I've actually fallen in love with her.
What's the name of the album?
I don't even know.
Have You in My Wilderness?
I totally knew that. It's like written in front of me like 10 times. Anyway, I think there's something just super sexy about her music. I've actually, when I say I've fallen in love, I've actually fallen in love.
Really?
Yeah, like she reminds me so much of Bjork, who I think is still one of the most attractive women in the world, even though she turns 50 in November.
Yeah.
I think Julia Holter, her music, it has the sex.
It has the sex.
It has the sex.
Okay, no, I'm feeling that.
I think I'm going to change my prediction for what you think of her album. That sounded like you're going to be giving her a 10.
Maybe, like, okay, the album is Have You in My Wilderness, so let's try and get back to some objectivity, which is annoying because, like, music is the most subjective thing in the world. These are all just our opinions. Everybody chill, man. Just have a good time. It's just music. Just music. Enjoy yourself. Cheer up, you grumpy old fucker.
Okay, so going back to feeling the album, what do you think about the song Feel You?
My favourite thing about the song Feel You.
He's going to say harpsichord. He's going to say fucking harpsichord. I know he's going to say harpsichord.
Yeah, harpsichord. That's it.
He loves harpsichord.
I love harpsichord.
I don't know
but my second favourite thing about the album is the way she says Mexico.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah.
Isn't your notes just like Mexico?
Mexico.
That is not how she says
Yeah, that's what I was
fucking
gonna say.
hilarious. That's almost Mexico. That's almost exactly how she says it, and it's
Mexico
amazingly
City.
funny. And
Mexico
the harpsichord is awesome.
City.
Although one of the things during the harpsichord bit, the strings sound like weirdly like off. Just during that, it sounds a bit MIDI. It sounds a bit like weird. But just during that, and then as soon as it kicks in, it sounds good.
I thought like some of the sound right at the beginning, it all has kind of like a MIDI kind of feel to it. But I like it.
It definitely wasn't enough to take anything away from the song. The song itself is still really good.
I still feel like all the sounds that were achieved on purposely. You know, like it wasn't because they couldn't do it because they weren't good enough. It's
totally.
like that was their artistic decision.
With the amount of well-recorded real instruments they have played really well, they could have, like, if they wanted to, had that sound perfect.
Yeah. And I feel as though they really got this sound across. I mean, when you start listening to it, you just hear this, what's it called? Harpsichord. You hear the harpsichord, and it's so simple. And then layers upon layers appear, and in the first 15 seconds of the song, it goes from being this really simple thing to having it's such a full-bodied
All of these
experience.
songs are very progressive. They all build up really well and come to like a really big thing. Feel You was a great opener and was one of my favourite songs on the album.
It's one of my favourite ones on the album as well.
I agree.
I just love the way she uses her voice.
Yeah, the little like vocal fluctuations she makes.
She's so talented, man.
She's
so
such
good.
a great singer.
Like she's thought of her voice as an instrument and used it in just such a clever way. I'm very jealous.
Can we have a picture of Julia Walter and a heart?
Walter.
Julia Holter.
Come on.
I guess we could. Just Julia Walter's just everywhere, just around me.
Who's Julia Walter?
He's fucking done it now. he's infected us with his
I've ruined it. It might as well be Julia
She's
Walter.
Julia Walter from now on.
The thing that I love the most about her voice is that while the instrumentation is really grand and orchestral, it keeps it so intimate. And it's just like it doesn't feel as though you're being trapped inside of the huge backing that she's creating. It's really incredible.
I feel like all the songs are just made really cleverly. Like they're composed. It's just such a fine art. Like I was listening to some of the chord progressions and I was like, there's a lot of clever shit going on. I haven't quite got the musical understanding to describe it properly to you.
Yeah.
In fact, someone who does, can they please explain how she did some of these songs to me so I can
They're all
learn and
very,
progress?
very impressively written, melody and chord-wise. They're all really nice. And like so many of them, like track after track, it's quite a like big full album.
Yeah.
And every track has something different and something interesting on it.
Definitely.
Just writing.
What I find is very prominent throughout the whole album is how many experimental features there are. And although some of the tracks you can, they're not as easy to get into on a first listen.
I was immediately in there. The
Yeah,
second I heard,
no, I
was-
agree. But for an average listener, there
Okay.
are a few experimental kind of.
There's no
goings
average
on.
listeners out there. These are all like
Top notch,
top shelf,
high quality.
top shelf listeners here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, our listeners will be able to get straight into this, but like for example, the spoken word, like right at the end of "Feel You," it goes. It's a very melodic song all the way to the end, and then there's just like this spoken word verse that you don't usually get in a song like this, and I didn't expect it the first time I heard it.
They pack a lot into these songs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff happening in every song, instrument wise, writing wise, everything.
Well, how did you feel about Night Song?
Night Song was one I liked a lot as well. That was in my sort of top group of songs from there. I think it was really awesomely atmospheric.
I thought the emotions were just
It was brilliant.
killer, man. Like the strings and the vocals, like especially towards the end of that track, they're just desperately sad and confused.
It had a slight sort of Chopin nocturne sort of feel.
Yeah,
Yeah, I that's what I got from it.
top shelf
As soon
listeners.
as soon as I heard that, I was instantly into it. I was like, this is a bit nocturne. I was so in. I love
Yeah.
that.
It was a really gentle song as well.
Yeah.
And I feel as though that comes across in every single song. It's an unusual thing to hear because it's gentle, but it's kind of got like a really haunting edge to it.
She had me on the edge of my seat, like
Yeah.
and it never got boring.
It never got boring.
There was
Never.
no like copy and paste like the beginning of the song to the end. She does this thing with her vocal, like there's some vocal processing she does, where like it will just go to like the next verse, but she'll change like the reverb and the compression on her voice in such a way that it's just like
Yeah.
it gets you again. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
She treats her voice like such an instrument, and she uses it so well.
I found that one of my absolute favourite tracks on this song. And I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
I remember when I first listened to it.
Please be the one here I've got here. Don't look at my
I
notes. Stop
took
looking at
my-
my notes.
Looking.
Peeking at my notes. Betsy on the Roof.
No.
Fuck!
Lucette, Stranded on the Island.
Oh yeah.
The first time I listened to it, I was like, I can't get over this kind of like the kind of percussive sound which went through a lot of the
Yeah.
song. I couldn't get over that, but
Couldn't get over it, as in
I
you couldn't get
couldn't-
over how fucking amazing it was. You loved it and you couldn't move on. You had to keep going back to the beginning of the song. You
Yeah.
couldn't get over it.
no. So at first I was like, this is quite grinding. That was the only thing that was standing out to me. But then once I got used to it, I was able to really understand like everything else in the song. And that song for me is the best song on the album. Like I
Really?
think it is incredible. Possibly the best song of the year.
Of the year?
I'm going as
Shit.
far as to say.
Yeah, man. I'd give this album has that kind of appeal to it.
It does.
For me, it was "Sea Calls Me Home" was just
That was my favourite as well. The saxophone solo on that.
I
was
didn't.
just
I
awesome.
didn't think that was one of the highlights.
that saxophone solo, man.
The
I've got
saxophone
I've got like a
was
whole
incredible.
fucking like paragraph written about the sax solo. It just says here like sax solo. Sea Calls Me Home. The fucking processing on that
at the
saxophone.
end, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they go like for this whole stereo delay thing.
Oh yeah, and it's like you're listening to one saxophone solo, but there's two of them, and
Yeah.
it feels as though I'm not sure whether it is a delay because it sounds as though there's kind of two different things.
They
happening.
might have recorded it twice.
They could have done.
But
I was listening to it and
I'm
really,
assuming
really
it'll be a
good.
delay.
My feelings told me stereo delay.
It was incredible
It
though.
was great.
Yeah.
Really interesting idea
Like
to do that.
I thought it hit me harder than I've heard any fucking like shredding guitar solo for fucking ever.
Did you feel that the intro on that song, "Sea Calls Me Home,"
Yeah.
it kind of had like a Beach Boys sound to it? Did you not think that?
Yeah,
Like,
a little bit.
The first 10 seconds of it, it kind of had a I'm forgetting the particular song.
I did not think that at all, but I can see where you would get them.
I got some of those little themes. I got like so many different themes from this album.
Yeah.
I thought a lot of it sounded quite like post kind of blue Miles Davis with the whole like studio jazziness. It just really got me.
I think
Yeah.
there are a few songs in this that really show like how varied this album can be. Especially the two sort of opposite ends I feel of it is Night Song, which is really sort of slow and atmospheric and really cool in that sense. And then Everytime Boots,
Yes.
Like the total fast,
Yeah, I thought that was
like,
fantastic.
Like
So good.
opposite of that.
It was
like-
really upbeat.
You two kept coming to the room when that was on.
Yeah.
And we have this thing where we don't talk to each other about the albums before we actually get into the studio. So and we all live together, so it's really hard to just be in a room with one another when we're not here. And we were always saying, I have absolutely no opinion about this song that's playing right now. And you don't
I
look at
feel
them
totally indifferent to this song that's playing right now.
and you turn back and they're like,
It was a really good song there. I loved it. And the fact that comparing it to the other songs on the album, which are more drawn out and really laid back, having kind of upbeat song really like prepared you for the rest of the album as well. So you never got bored. You always kept on edge. You didn't know what was coming with the next song.
yeah. I'm not sure what the album was. It was definitely some kind of a relationship.
I think it was by Julia Holter.
Julia Walter, you mean? There was definitely some kind of relationship breakup, possibly was the theme, but it could have just been a loved one. Something bad happened. Anyway, it gets so sad at some points, and it just really like.
But at the
connects with
same
me in a
time,
way.
it doesn't. It's never depressing.
Yeah, it
Because
like
there's
takes you on a journey. It's
There's
like,
always this kind of there's a good side every time.
yeah,
Every time.
Each
there's
song has
always a
so
good
much
side.
in it that they can have these like sort of opposite views, but they
Yeah.
don't like. It's not clashing. It's just like part of the story.
I thought the strings in this album were just to die for.
Yeah.
It just sounds so great. It took me a while to acclimate to the sound of this album, actually.
Whoa, acclimate.
Yeah,
What a word.
thanks, Matt. I like it.
I love it.
I wrote it down and everything. Like, just a huge leap production-wise. Like, we've been listening to... I've especially been listening to, like, huge production albums, like, from The Foals and Tame Impala, where you hear, like, huge, big bass guitar,
Big
like,
sounds, yeah.
you hear it filling up everything. Whereas this, I had to, like, especially the double bass that plays throughout this album.
Yeah.
I was like... First of all, I was like, the bass isn't quite fucking huge enough. But after a while, I really got into like the timbre of it.
Especially
timbre,
with some
another
of the
good word
other
right
albums we're doing
Another
this week.
fantastic word.
Yeah,
Some of the other albums we're doing this week are all about the bass.
all about that bass. Let's not go down that line.
Let's not go down. Moving on to track 9, Vasquez, I believe.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to say that it's Vasquez. It might be Vasquez.
Yeah, I was not sure how we were going to say this one as well.
If you're listening to this from... I mean, we've already established that we've got a high-quality audience here.
Yes.
But it's probably the most difficult song to get into. But
Really?
it's also the most rewarding.
I thought, like, I love the kind of psychedelicness of it. There was that's where I got a lot of the Miles Davis kind of influences.
But
I thought.
there's a lot of kind of pop themes throughout this album. Not that I would call it a pop album,
Yeah.
but it's got that idea behind it where you can really kind of get into it and it's really catchy while also being incredibly complex.
with
But
that
with Vasquez, it didn't seem to have that pop element. It was just a really
we got a pop elephant this time.
Oh, pop elephant.
Isaac, pop elephant. Sweet. There he is, the cheeky little fella.
Put it in, Barry.
It felt like a jam, that song. I felt like I would love to see that live. I'd love to see the band just go crazy
absolutely.
doing it. Like, it felt like a real, like,
So good.
yeah.
So good.
If you guys have ever been in a band and you got like a jam going, you know how it feels. That felt like a good one.
I have one criticism
Oh
about this
my God.
entire album.
Yeah,
Only one.
hit me.
I didn't think that the final song on the album, Have You in My Wilderness, was as good as it could have been to really conclude everything.
I don't know. I feel like it worked well at the end.
I think it was a decent closer, but I agree with James. Like I found that at some points in this album, because there was so much in it, that at some points I would get to a thing which was still a good song. I think every song on this is a good song, but some bits I'd get to after other ones that I particularly liked for a style, and it just wouldn't hit me as much because there's so much going on. I was just like, this isn't as much as some of the other songs, you know.
Exactly.
I felt it was like really desperately. It's kind of sad and angry and confused. It reminded me a lot of the Clint Mansell score on The Fountain. If anybody's listened to that score, it's like one of my favourite scores of all time. I tried to show you the film The Fountain. All you did was go,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
don't like it.
I hated it. I hated that film.
It's a fantastic film.
I thought it was terrible.
Great film, guys. Great score.
Right.
Great.
This isn't the Sonic film. Let's get back to it.
I thought that it was very thematic, and I thought that it had a good conclusion as a song, but that song didn't conclude the album the way I would have liked, and that is pretty much my only criticism. I would still say that is a great song, though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was a bad song. I'm just saying that it could have been way better. Okay,
I got so many.
A bit better.
I got so many flavors on this album, like
strawberry, raspberry.
I got a lot of kiwi.
You've been obsessed with kiwis recently. Let's not go into that. The composer side of her, like the strings on How Long, the kind of waver like in and out of tune.
Yeah.
That reminded me so much of the Hans Zimmer track on this is the film squeeze now. The Hans Zimmer track on for The Dark Knight. I think it was.
You're talking about Zimmer. I'm okay with
it. Was the Joker's theme.
So what did you think about The Dark Knight?
I'll tell you about The Dark Knight.
Good music.
Great film. He died so young. Back to the thing. Yeah, I also got like one of my favourite albums of this year, I Love You Honey Bear by Father John Misty. I got some of those flavours in terms of the songwriting. Like the skill level of the songwriting was just insane.
It was incredible. Absolutely incredible. I would highly recommend this to anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone at all.
Like the composing in the song, especially with the strings, so Bjorky. Bjorky. It's a good word to say it. Sounds good, feels good to say.
I feel as though this album is so good that it's kind of difficult to discuss. Do you not feel that way? Like, to the extent where I could sit here and talk about a particular song for an hour.
I do.
And how good it is.
This is the one I have the least notes on, and I think it's because like I got to the point where a lot of the songs I was just being like, this is good as well.
Yeah.
This is also excellent.
This is also really good, and I don't think that we're disagreeing with each other to the point where
I liked this album so much. I'm thinking of going singer.
Yeah,
she's playing in London in November, Islington, and I'm seriously think I'm going to go. She's been doing loads of touring with.
You should write her a love letter as well.
I think I will.
I mean, when are you going to get?
Is this not a love letter? She's been doing loads of touring with Beirut.
Oh really?
You're a fan of the Beirut.
Yeah, I do like the Beirut.
In fact, Beirut brought out their latest album, No No No, in I think it was September as well. And they're such a good pairing. I'd love to see them both live.
I always preferred Yeah Yeah Yeahs, to be honest. Over.
What? No.
I love them.
Anyway, yeah, if you'd like us to review the album No 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 by Beirut, then throw it in the comment section or something. Might do it.
We might read it. We probably won't. We might do it anyway.
Yeah, I really dig the album actually.
I think for now, I'm going to be sitting on Facebook looking at the comment section more than anyone else will. Maybe I'll comment it.
Yeah, let us know on Twitter or Facebook or the comments, whatever you want to do. I think we covered this album pretty good. Let's look at my fucking notes.
All right, man.
Marks out of 10. Gareth Brick.
8.
Simply because the outro wasn't what I wanted.
Wow, that's
It's a 9. But otherwise, I would have
cool.
given it a 10 out of 10.
I'm a strong 9 on this one as well.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what she comes out with next. And in fact, I need to go. She's actually got a lot of material out there, and I want to go back and listen to a lot of it and see what she's like live. I just want to experience more of her. I love you. Love you. It's been a Sonic Squeeze. Julia Walter. Thanks a lot for listening. Goodbye.
What were the predictions?
Predictions.
Predictions.
I predicted that.
Whoa.
I predicted that you give her a 9.
Wicked.
That you would give her a 9.
Wicked.
Interesting. Well, is that
got
since
them
you
right.
changed it mid-episode? Because remember you were saying
I
like...
didn't actually change it.
Okay.
I went and changed it to 10, and then I was like, it's not really a prediction if I change it now, so I changed it back to 9. I was struggling between 8 and 9. With you, I had 8/9.
Yeah.
With you, I had 8/9. I've changed it just to 9 now. But yeah.
Cool.